Okay, Shalom, Shalom. Kwam Yasha Allah. Koholo Imalaya Hawabashim Yawashai Bahashimmer Kahakadash. Double honors to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well, that by the Spirit taught us this beautiful truth, and just want to say the water toward the H.I.M and Akwaf. That's out here sincerely keeping the laws, the statutes, and commandments of Yahweh Bashim Yawashai to the best of their ability. Jachanan the Waf, just coming at you with another quick lesson, praying that it's edifying by the Spirit. And wanted to touch on this article. It says Michigan Township forms militia, declares itself to a sanctuary city. So let's just read into it, because this governor here, if you're familiar with the governor of Michigan, she's that governor that supposedly, those so-called white men plan to kidnap, they ended up having the trials and all this other stuff like that. So, it's a lot of people, that don't like her. As far as, I would have to say the Republican side of the Michigan people. It's a lot of militias here, a lot of just so-called white people that, just feel like they should be self-governed, you know what I'm saying? And that's the way that they do anyway. And I wanted to touch on this article because one thing that a so-called black race of people are not going to be able to do, you're not going to be able to do nothing like this. You're not going to be able to, and they legally done it. So let's read through it. It says, Holton Township in Michigan has declared itself a Second Amendment sanctuary city earlier in November. The Holton Township trustees passed a resolution forming the voluntary Holton Township Militia. The township supervisor, Alan Jagger, said the resolution passed in response to the red flag law signed into law by Governor Gretchen Whitmer. So now that this law, she just signed it, where basically if you a gun owner, and you have a domestic violence situation or whatever at your house or whatever, anywhere, where they could come and take your guns for 8 years without pretty much, not even really knowing what's going on. All somebody got to do is really say, hey, he done this to me, and he owns guns. So overall, they can just come to your house and, you know what I'm saying, confiscate your guns, and you already know that's not going to sit right with Esau. That's not going to sit right with Esau, Edom, the so-called white man. Why? Because he was gifted with that blessing. He was gifted with that blessing, man. He'd rather go out using that blessing, that sword, than to actually give up that blessing. Okay, it says when Whitmer signed the bill into law, she said red flag laws have been proven to save lives. Jagger said the Holton Township resolution will ensure citizens will have due process before their firearms are taken away. And I mean, laws of the land, legally, that would be the way that it would rock anyway, though, you think. But, you got Esau, man. Hey, Esau doesn't follow his own rules. They're notorious for saying this and doing that. Okay, it says due process is necessary for all of us to have a right to defend ourselves before you take our guns away. See, this is the way the so-called white man thinks, man. Jagger said the resolution will help citizens who are part of the militia to explain their case in court if someone seeks out a court order against them seeking to take away their guns. Now, you think that a community of so-called black people can do something like that? It's plenty of places where it's nothing but so-called black people, because we're pretty much cornered throughout the four corners of the earth. We're cornered into some type of corner or pocket where it's just us. But you think that our people can come up and say, hey, you know what? We're going to start a militia. We're going to start a militia. And when you go off into militia, that means basically that you're, pretty much overall, you're a standing army. You're a standing army of your own people, and anybody that comes into your community, you're able to break out those arms and defend your community, whether it's against law enforcement or, gangs, whoever the hell. But if you come off into that community, then you better know that everybody in that town has something, and you can be shot at from a rooftop, a window. So this is Esau, man, and he's fighting for his sword. Because like I said again, this lady Gretchen Whitmer, she was that governor that, they tried to kidnap that bitch, man. They had it was like, I don't know, maybe 13, 14. I don't know how the case ended up going. I think a few of the guys got off. Maybe a few of those guys got some jail time or whatever. But this was just, I don't know, maybe 2 years ago or so. You know, so she's pretty controversial as far as, as far as right wing or Republican side. They hate her. They hate her guts. And she just she just had the what's that, National Transgender Day. She celebrated that. So she's she's go hard for, she's pro so-called Negro woman aborting their babies. Anything that's got to do with death. I gotta say, out of all the between the so-called whites and so-called white people, as far as Republicans and Democrats are the worst, man. They're the fucking worst out of that whole group. Even though they're both terrible, but that Democratic side, man, they are destructive as hell. Anyway, okay, let's get some more. We'll grab a scripture or two. It says several militia groups have formed in Michigan. The Michigan Militia dates back to 1994. The group was discovered in 1995 after Timothy McVeigh and Terry Nichols attended earlier meetings and carried out Oklahoma City bombings. Now, if you remember that, that's been a while. It says which killed 168 people. The Michigan Militia resurfaced again in 2008 before President Barack Obama took office. See? And these are the type of people right here. When you go off into the scriptures, matter of fact, let's go into the Apocrypha real quick. Second Esdras 15. These are going to be like some of the people that's, you're going to have to pretty much defend yourself against. Because they're going to be basically, somewhat, saying that we're defending ourselves, but it's going to come to a point where all these so-called white people, you're going to pick a side. I'll put it that way. Okay, so it says, 2nd Esdras 15, let me start at verse 14. It says, woe to the world and them that dwell therein, for the sword and their destruction draweth nigh. And one people shall stand up to fight against another, and swords in their hands. For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their action shall stand in their power. So they don't give a shit about what this governor is talking about. They like, no, we're going to form a militia. See, it says, let me get that back again. For there shall be sedition among men, invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. They're not going to regard the police officers or the mayor or the senator or the governor or the president. They're not going to give a shit. They're going to do what they're going to do. They're not regarding them. They don't care, because they're looking at this government as if, you've done nothing but lie, lie, lie. You're sending all our money to Ukraine, sending all our money to Israel. You're basically, you know what I'm saying? You're setting up all these so-called immigrants that's coming into the country, while our own people starve. So people are, they're getting riled up. They're seeing what's happening. They're seeing what's going on. And there's a lot of other stuff that's going on as well. You know what I'm saying? They're watching. See, a lot of these so-called white people, they not with this drug shit. They seeing all this drug, as far as their, just overdoses. They're seeing a lot of the social media shit tearing their asses apart. I mean, it's so many things that's going on that's destroying them as a people. But you do have that one, that one sect of them that's like, no, this shit must stop. We must fight for our culture, so to speak. We must fight for our people. If we don't, we're not going to survive. And see, they don't understand that it's the Lord that's doing them like that, because they're reaping what they've actually sown for so long. That's their problem. They don't understand that the Lord is tearing them down. And they're going to fight tooth and nail to try and keep what they've stolen up and going, man. Okay, 17, it says, a man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able, So that militia can say, hey, no, hey, they can stop cars. They can set up, border points, so to speak. Who are you? Who you coming here to visit? We've never seen you before. You're going to what address? You're going to visit who? No, we know that person. And they may have a call list. The call. Well, let's give them a call. Joanne, this guy is a guy trying to come into the city to see you. I mean, hey, it can land like that. It can land like that. If they, they want to go far enough with it. It says, for Because of their pride, the city shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. And man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword, and spoil their goods because of lack of bread and for great tribulation. And all that stuff is coming. And mainly, that's the reason why a lot of these militias are getting together. I see them all the time, you know. I used to see them a lot more recently, but you know what I'm saying? You know, they train. I see them, you know, it's a park not too far away from, you know, where I work at, because that whole city is pretty much like about 98% population is so-called white people. So they have militias there, and they jog through the park. They have their flags. They be in military fatigues. They train. You know, they're doing training. They're shooting training. They're going to the, you know, range. You know, they're experts at hunting. They're doing all these things. So you so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, y'all better get your head on a swivel out here, man, because things are about to get real nasty out here. Real nasty. This right here is your perfect example of what's to come. Or they've already organized. They got it together. This is not like somebody, okay, we're gonna start a militia, and they don't know how a militia gets down. These people were probably already, you know, military, ex-military men, so to speak, you know what I'm saying? And they getting together and they kicking it and they talking and they like, nah, we're gonna do something about this shit. This bitch is not about to come and take our guns. You know? Because I mean, it's real. The law is kind of, it's pretty wide open. All a person had to do is really say, hey, you know what? He threatened me before, or, you know, especially with, you know, the women these days. He assaulted me. He done this to me. He grabbed me by my arm forcibly. He done it, and all that. That's all it takes for them to come and take the gun. That's all that it takes. These so-called white people are not going for that shit. Okay, it says, then in October 2020, federal authorities announced indictments against 13 people, most of which were a part of the militia Wolverine Watchmen, who were charged in connection to plotting and kidnapping the governor. See, so I didn't know that was in the story. They did try and, you know, they plotted to kidnap that bitch, man. Salakia for the language. A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed, the Second Amendment states. And they believe that. It says, still, courts have ruled that firearms can be regulated, including when and how they are can be carried. Jagger said the Holton Township resolution is more symbolic. And he said he does not want citizens running around town with guns. Citizens will have the right to join the voluntary militia on paper, and they will be required to pass a federal background check. So this is the power that the so-called white man has as a regular citizen. But I'm telling you, you so-called blacks, you ever try and get together and pull some shit like this, they coming in. They'll never allow you. This is how you know you're not free. They will never allow you to do this. Where's the outcry in this? Where's the FBI? Why isn't the government or the military or the, you know, why isn't it, you know, somebody going in and saying, no, y'all not doing this shit. You're citizens. Y'all gonna follow the laws. And that's that. No. You let something like this go down and so-called blacks is like, you know what, we're gonna come together in solidarity. We're gonna start our own militia. We have a community of, you know, 1,500 people. You know, we're going to patrol our own blocks. We're going to put the little light on top of the car. You know what I'm saying? And we're going to do our own security, armed at that. You know? No, they're not about to let you do no shit like that. They're not about to allow you to talk about no Second Amendment and we have a right to bear arms and we're going to, you know, do... Because it's basically what these people are saying. We're going to do our own thing. But let's get this real quick. That Psalm 73 comes to mind. Start at verse 3. It says, for I was envious at the foolish when I saw the prosperity of the wicked. For there are no bands in their death, but their strength is firm. They are not in trouble as other men, neither are they plagued like other men. See, the so-called white man, he's not going through what everybody else is going through. Hell, the so-called Chinese man in this country got a better chance of pulling some shit like that off than the so-called blacks. You can forget about it. You go on camera and get to talking about we starting a militia. You're not going to come and take our, no, you know, you're not taking no guns from us until we can go to, to court or whatever, and argue our case. No, you Negroes, see, y'all don't have them type of rights, man. You know, as American citizens, on book, you do. But they're not going to allow you to go through with that process, man. It says, therefore pride compasseth them about as a chain. Violence covereth them as a garment. And their eyes stand out with fatness. They had more than heart could wish. See? And Esau not coming up off that sword, man. Let's see that. What is that? Genesis. He not coming up off that sword, man. Let's get I'm just gonna get to the point. This is Esau. This is the biblical name for the so-called white man. Esau, Edom, Edomites, Idumeans. That's their biblical nationality. Because no one's actually white. You know, no one's out here looking like a damn glass of milk. You know, that's some shit they came up with. Their actual biblical nationality is their Esau, Edom. And our biblical nationality, so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, we come from Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. We are Israelites. And our father, Yahweh, the Most High, is going to send his son, Yahushai, which the world ignorantly calls Jesus, to get us out of the hands of our enemies. Because that's what's happening to us as a people. We're in the hands of our enemies. That's the reason why we couldn't possibly pull nothing like this off. And we're, of course, we're under the curses of Deuteronomy chapter 28, right? But this is the blessing that our forefather Isaac blessed him with. He blessed him with that sword. He blessed him with that gun. He blessed him with that nuclear power, that nuclear might, man. You know, no one is gonna outdo Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, when it comes to a weapon. This man is expert at it because the Lord placed His Spirit on him to have that foreknowledge of the weapon, man. You're not getting around it. But this is Genesis 27. Let me start at verse 39. And it says, and Isaac his father answered and said unto him, behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth and the dew of heaven from above. That's why they live in the best places. You know, they generally around, trees, with oxygen, breathing in good fresh air. They're generally around nice fresh lakes, waterways and things of that nature. You know what I'm saying? They're generally living in the best of town, so to speak. They, they generally have the best of the situation as far as like living on earth, man. They were blessed with the fatness of the earth because this is their time to rule. Verse 40, it says, and by thy sword, see, shalt thou live, and shalt serve thy brother. And it shall come to pass when thou shalt have the dominion, that thou shalt break his yoke from off thy neck. But he has to get to that sword. He's been ruling with that sword for a real long time, which is basically, it's just a common day word for a weapon. And Esau, the so-called white man, that's the reason why he's able to run the earth the way that he has. Him having that nuclear might, like how he has that nuclear might. Now these nations, though, they're starting to come up because, it's about time for Esau to be taken down. He's coming to his border of ruling, so to speak. He can't go no further because the time clock is, there's a timer on him. And that timer is ticking down on him. So when that timer ticks down to 0, his ass is through. And so that's what's happening right now with him. He's losing his power. But these other countries, they're starting to actually come up and use that very same sword that he created. When they say you live by the sword, you die by the sword. That very same weapon that he created, he's going to die by that. Or he's going to be, it's going to be a lot of destruction on his end as far as that nuclear weapon, man, that he so brags about. He's so proud of. But I just wanted to touch on this, man. I seen this article and I'm like, yeah, man. You go into, and they have all the hookups here. They got the secondary, the Second Amendment, sanctuary, militia formation, red flag laws, due process rights, Michigan gun control. And see, they understand this stuff. They go into the law and this stuff. They have lawyers for this stuff. This is an entire township. And so they know what their rights are. And it's nothing that these people are going to do to basically, because like I said, again, the so-called white man, he has that option. Now, can the so-called black person say, hey, we're going to do that? Yeah, you can go do that. But it's not going to work out for you like how it works out for them. They're not going to allow you to have that type of might, man. You can forget about it. Because like I said, again, we are under the curses of Deuteronomy chapter 28, and the Lord is not going to allow you to have that. Really, that it's the Lord that's not going to allow you. You know? As a matter of fact, let me get one more too. There's that Psalms. Yeah, Esau, man, this is his kingdom, man. He's in control. But this thing is slowly caving on his ass, man. This might not be, oh, yeah, this is it. Psalm 17 and 13. Oh, Yahweh, disappoint him, cast him down, deliver my soul from the wicked, which is thy sword. See? So the Lord is in control of the so-called white man. The Lord uses the so-called white man as a whooping stick or a sword, man. You know? It says, from men which are thy hand. See? They are the hand of the Lord. O Lord, from men of the world, which have their portion in this life, and whose belly thou fillest with thy head treasure. They are full of children and leave the rest of their substance to their babes. See? So this is clearly the so-called white man. They able to do what they do. Take, rape, rob, and murder. And then they're able to, you know, set up a will, pass that shit on to their sons. And then their sons pass it on to their sons pass it on to their sons, and then reincarnation, that man comes back into that lot. And that's another lesson. You know what I'm saying? But Esau, Edom, he is the sword of the Lord. He is the hand of the Lord, man. And they have their portion in this life. That's how you know that it's about us. So when the kingdom of heaven comes, they, you know, they're not going to have a portion in that. They're just going to, you know, they're going to have to go into their lot, which is, you know, slavery at that point. See, this is their world. They're able to rule now. They're able to go to, you know, they're able to stand upon the whole entire globe and tell everybody what the fuck to do. And if you ever watch Euro News, if you look at any of the World Economic Forums, or if you look at any of those UN meetings, you know, those G summits and all this other shit, all you're gonna see is them. They're running the world. They're making the rules up for how everybody should live. So-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, we don't have no might or no power or nothing like that, man. We just pay taxes. They take money from us to push their rule. It's simple, man. But with that, hey, you know, I just wanted to do a pre-camp lesson. With that, Kwame Yashala.